So good day everyone. So we are the group three. I am Christy Dayan J. Rivera together with my group mates Christine J. Vizquera, Ashley Paulin Toralba, and Kyla L. Pangilinan. So our topic for today is Kant and right theories. So Goodwill and Categorical imperative. So first, here's our agenda. First is Kant and right theories, Goodwill and Categorical imperative. Next one is maxim. The third one is duty and goodwill. So pang-fourth is imperative. Pang-five is categorical imperative. So at the end of this unit, I am able to first define Kant and rights theories, understand the difference between goodwill and categorical imperative, and then the last is appreciate the importance of Kant's theories. So of course, before we proceed to the Kant theories, ito yung basic information about Kant. So first, Immanuel Kant was born on April 22, 1724 in Kaliningrad, Russia. In 1740, Kant entered the University of Königsberg, and then he published science papers including General Natural History and Theory of Heaven in 1755. He spent 15 years as a metaphysics lecturer, and he died on February 12, 1804 in Königsberg, Russia. So, ito na, okay? Immanuel Kant is a German philosopher in 1724 to 1804 whose way of thinking on goodwill and categorical imperative is established in utilizing an individual's capacity to reason. So, we have four learning results accomplished before the finish of Theme, Kant, and Wright's theories. So dito Kant emphasizes the importance of an individual's capacity to reason in moral decision making. So Kant believed that goodwill is the foundational aspect of morality. So goodwill is the intention to act in accordance with moral principles out of a sense of duty. So sinasabi dito ni Kant na yung moral worth of an action is not derived from the consequence but the goodwill behind it. So let's say for example, helping a person. So tinutulungan mo yung tao na yon not for personal gain or social pressure, but you recognize. So by what reason? By thinking na ito yung tamang gagawin mo because you think that this is the right thing to do. Okay. So Kant also introduced the categorical imperative, which is a fundamental principle of his ethical theory. So dito sinasuggest na dapat ang individuals ay mag-act according to the principles na may apply universally without contradictions. So in simpler terms, if you are considering a certain actions na gagawin, dapat i-consider mo kung yung action ba na gagawin mo is naka-align ba sa moral principles. Okay. So Kant's way of thinking addresses the increase. What would I be able to know? The heavenly confidence which isolates what we can experience versus what we can comprehend. Also, we can just know about things, we can understand what would it be a good idea for me to do, which intends to act sanely in agreement to an all-inclusive good law. What may I trust? The spirits are godlike, there is God, and the world is planned as per standard of equity. So dito naman, Kant's philosophy revolves around three key questions. So dito lang is yung what can I know, which is yung nagpapatungkol sa epistemology or study about knowledge, kung hanggang saan lang ba yung kayang i-explore ng tao o maintindihan ng tao. What should I do, which is yung actions or yung mga decisions na dapat ginagawa natin in ethical way. So, pangatlo naman is, what may I hope? Ito yung metaphysics, which yung nag-i-study sa fundamental nature of reality. So, this includes the first principle of being in existence or identity. So, dito na nag-question kung nag-i-exist ba yung bagay na to sa part na tanong na to, sa metaphysics. So, sa tatlong question na yon, ina-emphasize yung limitation of human understanding sa mga bagay na kaya lang maintindihan ng mga tao or ma-experience. Pangalawa naman is nag-advocate for universal moral principles in ethical decisions. And then the third is address the metaphysical aspect, including the existence of gods. And then, of course, the structure of world based on justice. So next slide. Kant accepts that the feeling of profound quality of people doesn't really originate from an incomparable power of God. So as to decide directly from wrong, we need to utilize reason. As indicated by him, profound quality in religion ought to be isolated on the grounds that people have various religions, that we will have various answers and reasons for our ethical quality. So dito, i-elaborate lang natin, ano? Kant separates morality from religious belief by asserting that the profound sense of morality in individuals doesn't necessarily come from divine authority. Okay, so instead, sinasabi dito na dapat yung reasons natin hindi naman dapat nakarely from God. So dapat tayo ang magdedetermine ito kung tama ba to or hindi. Kasi di ba ang tao kasi marami yung iba-iba yung religious yan di ba? Wait lang. So bago akong proceed doon, isang example yung hindi ka dapat nag-rely is yung example din ni Ma'am Eunice dati na kapag nakakuha ka ng pera, sinasabi mo na, uy Lord, alam niyo po talaga na nakakailangan po kasi ako ng pera ngayon, kaya thank you po. So it means hindi mo na ibabalik yun sa may-ari or hindi mo na yung isosole. Di ba? Okay, so ito naman is yung sinasabi dito naman din na maraming iba't iba ang religions ng bawat isa. So from that from that perspective pa lang, kapag tinanong mo yung isang tao sa isang situation na to, magkakaroon sila ng iba't ibang perspective about morality. Kasi nga, from various religions, magkakaroon ng iba't ibang answers. So let's say for example na lang is, ako, isang Katoliko. And then meron ako isang friend na Muslim. So sa paningin ko, yung pagkakaroon ng maraming asawa is very unethical. Pero sa kanya, as a Muslim, hanggat kaya siyang providean ng husband niya, kahit ilan sila, ay okay lang. So from that example, makikita mo na magkaiba talaga yung answer namin from that perspective. So that's all.
Okay, so moving forward tayo kay Maxim. So, a maxim serves as a premise or rule on how and why we act. It's like an unwritten guideline book which humans attribute to. So, in simple terms, si maxim, it is a rule that connects an action to the reason for that action. So, ibig sabihin lang, yung mga actions mo, dapat may kaakibat siyang reason. Hindi pwede na ginawa mo lang yung bagay na to kasi wala lang. So, ano reason mo doon? And si maxim kasi, dapat may reason ka ngayon yan para ma-justify kung ano yung actions na ginawa mo. For example, always treat others with kindness and respect. So, bakit mo kailangan i-treat yung others with kindness and respect? Kasi, yun yung gusto mo ma-earn or yung gusto mo na gawin din sa'yo ng ibang tao. Hindi naman pwede na sila lang yung mag-treat sa'yo ng kindness and respect and ikaw, hindi mo sila parang igagalang. So, si Maxim, serves like a guideline book in which, or unwritten guideline book which humans attribute to. So, parang ito yung mga guidelines na kailangan nating sundin sa pang-araw-araw parang yung sa morality natin, mas maging malinis siya, mas maayos. And a maxims, based kay Kant, is a subjective principle of actions. When we say subjective, by this means a rule of action a man follows as part of his own policy of living whatever rules of living other people may have. Kumbaga, ikaw sa sarili mo, meron kang sariling policy, meron kang sariling rules na ginagawa. Kahit na yung sa rules ng iba is hindi tugma sa rules mo. As long as may sarili kang policy. Example na lang dito is, mag-aaral ako mabuti kasi gusto kong pumasa. So, yun yung policy ko para magkaroon ako ng magandang educational background, mas magkaroon ako ng magandang trabaho. And si Kant din, parang kinontrast niya si Maxim kay law. Sabi dito, maxims are contrasted by Kant with laws, which are objectively valid for all rational beings. So, sabi nga natin kay Maxims is, action of a man follows as part of his own policy. So, ibig sabihin, si Maxim is pang sarili natin, while pang sarili nating sinusunod. But si law, kumbaga rational siya, kumbaga lahat ng taong nabubuhay dito is sinusunod niya. So maxims or these maxims serve as a general rule of conduct that guides how we interact with other or kung paano ba tayo makisalamuha or paano ba tayo makitungo sa ibang tao. It suggests that we should constantly display kindness and respect towards others in our words and actions regardless of the circumstances. Since all of us are dealing with our own problems, so display kindness every time.
So next is duty and goodwill. How carry out proverbs identify with obligations and generosity? Duty is an objective maxim, irrespective of all objects desired. These obligations of a man is to follow the unmitigated goal or target at age. The inability to do so implies that one is silly, represents his or her own pleasure and abuses reason. So, kanina nga binanggit na ko ano mismo yung meaning ng maxim, which is always takes for action. But yung objective maxim naman kasi, it always based on reason and not influenced by the personal desire or yung subjective preferences. And yung binanggit dito na statement na irrespective of all object desire. So, it means having a strong feeling or wanting something, which is yung human instinct ng tao, papasok na doon. And yung human instinct na yun, align siya to desire a things. It's either materials, possessions, experiences, or either relationship. And yung example dito, a group of friends is planning for a vacation. And each of them meron ng mismo mga preferences regards sa destination, activities, and other accommodations. But the decision is made without considering the desire of any specific individual or kung sino mismo yung sasama sa may planned vacation na yon. And considering ba mismo yung engage na gawin yung activity na yon, kumbaga ginawa lang yung plan na yon as a whole. So therefore, yung decision is made as irrespective of the desire of individual objects. So yung binabanggit natin na objects, dito na, ito rin mismo involved, which is yung friends. So, para masolusyonan natin to, dapat yung planning is work as a whole or as a group rather than the individual desire in each person. Next is, Kant likewise contends that the inspirations of people for their activities go past joy and that we practice reasons above impulsive. So according to Kant or according to him, action should be always guided by the reasons rather than the mere desire. So example ulit, yung example din ni Diana, example na rin siya ni Ma'am, yung nakapulot ka nga ng wallet sa kalsada. So ano yung possibly or possible na gagawin mo? So based nga kay Kant philosophy, dapat reason should always prevail or dapat mas lalo siyang pairalin over the impulsive desire. So, ikaw as an individual na napulot mo na mismo yung wallet na yon, alam mo yung stealing is a violation which is the principle of respecting others and property rights. And it is against the universal law. So, para yung hindi mo masundan yung personal pressure or yung impulsive desire nga sinasabi, ang ginawa mo, kinuha mo yung wallet, hinanap mo yung identification or yung mismong owner. So with that, honesty and respect to others is naging part siya ng moral principle which is it guides us the actions even somehow it foregoing to personal pleasure. So, para na lang since na-apply mo nga yung sinasabi ni Kant sa philosophy na yun na dapat ma-practice mo yung reason over the impulsive desire. Next is cooperative attitude. In this manner, about after obligation without respect for joy or wants, it is shown in representing the purpose of obligation. So sa cooperative attitude kasi, it always refers to the willingness to fulfill responsibilities and obligations without considering your personal enjoyment or personal desire. So ang example na to, isang students, meron na siyang darating na actually upcoming exam or finals na, then isa siyang honor student or dean lister. So kumbaga, meron siyang strong desire or strong feelings na dapat maka-achieve siya ng mataas na score para magkaroon pa rin siya na, para masama pa rin siya mismo sa dean list. Ganon. So therefore, yung pinaka-purpose ng obligation niya is makikita. Wherein yung students na yun, mag-e-exert siya ng effort to study effectively in order to fulfill his or her obligation as a student. So, yung binabanggit dito without considering the personal enjoyment, ito na yung papasok na, di ba, as a student or as an individual, meron tayong mga hobbies. So, yung mga hobbies na yun, like, consider natin na minsan is distraction sa pag-aaral. So, dapat ikaw na nagpe-prepare sa exam mo, para maging effective yun na ma-fulfill mo talaga yung obligation mo, isa-set aside mo yung mga hobbies na yun. Katulad na napanood ng K-dramas, C-dramas, watching games, mga ganon. So, it means, pagka yung obligation na yun, mag-guide the students as an action and it ensure that they act as a moral duty. And also, hinhighlight din dito kasi ni Kant na yung fulfilling obligation is always based on moral principle even when they may conflict on the personal duties. Next is characteristics of cooperative as an individual. First is positive interdependence. All members should rely on one another to achieve the goal and need to believe that they are linked together. So, example lang naman ito yung laro na three-leg race. So, as a group, since tatlo lang kayo, dapat may tiwala na kayo sa isa't isa. And yung goal nyo, dapat is magawa nyo siya, which is manalo kayo and makarating kayo sa finish line nang kayo mismo yung mauuna. So therefore, yun nga, since sinabi dito, rely on one another to achieve the goal, that dapat connected kayong tatlo to each other. Next is individual and group accountability. You take the ownership of the situation that you're involved in. Example na lang ulit ito sa group activity. Since ako as a leader, then meron na kaming group project na ipapas ko na sa isang prof. Then pina-check ko yun, and yung mismong professor, may nakita siyang isang mali. And yung kanina yun, tinignan ko kung kanino ba siyang part, which is sa member ko. So, ako as a leader, hindi ko na iti-take yung mistake na yun, or I don't take the blame para sa member ko. Kumbaga, ang gagawin ko na is, ang duty ko doon and responsibility ko na i-hold na lang or tanggapin ko na lang mismo kung ano yung pagkakamali na yun, which is dapat kong itama na din as a leader. And next is promotive interactions. Give individuals opportunity to help each other to overcome the problems. So, example nito ulit yung group activities. Since yung sa isang group activities kasi hindi naman lahat talaga is knowledgeable doon. Yung iba is slow learner, fast learner, ganon. So, ikaw as a fast learner, tinulungan mo yung mga members mo kung paano i-come up i-solve yung isang problem na yun. So with that, nakapag-share ka na ng knowledge and natuto pa yung iba sa'yo. Next is appropriate use of social skills. The effectiveness of communication, engagement, and so on. So having a strong communication ay dapat mayroon lang talaga isang tao in order for you to share your ideas, thoughts. And lastly, group processing. Allow the group to improve its work together continuously over time. So dito kumbaga papasok na lang siguro yung brainstorming. Since ito na nga sa isang group, everyone is allowed to give suggestions, ideas, and thoughts, and kumbaga everyone is free. And example for duty and goodwill. If the two firefighters set out to rescue 10 stranded people and one of them dies on the way, while the others succeed. So, dito lang, si Kant, view niya ito as equally heroic. So, paano? Sinabi nga kasi ni Kant na they both have had the same moral goodwills even though the consequences were different for both of them. So, yung duty kasi, it always refers to the moral obligation. So, sa first example ng two firefighters rescued 10 stranded, ano ba yung moral obligation na papasok doon? Or yung duty na tinatawag. Yung duty na papasok doon is they need to rescue the 10 stranded people. When the goodwill naman, it always refers to the motivation or yung mga moral worth. Yung mga moral worth example nga associated with the honesty, kindness, fairness, integrations, and marami pa. So as for their actions, acting of sense of a duty and prioritizing the well-being of others. So, for another example, you have borrowed a book from a friend and you accidentally damage it. So, yung duty dito is to fulfill mo yung mismong obligation mo as a friend na ang gagawin mo is papalitan mo ba yung book na na-damage mo or i-repair mo na lang. While the goodwill naman is it always reflected as the genuine intention to act honestly, which is magiging responsible ka kung ano mismo yung nagawa mong pagkakamali. So, yun lang yun. Yung duty, it always refers sa obligation, while the goodwill, moral worth or action.
So moving forward to imperatives. Imperatives, what are the goals? A basic is an order. Models are the signage like keep off the grass or don't hinder the driveway. So si imperative kasi it is a rule or command that is expected to be followed by everyone. Kumbaga hindi lang selected people yung kailangan mag-follow ng rules na to, but lahat tayo. It is a kind of principle that dictates what action should be taken or avoided. Sabi nga dito, what actions should be taken or avoided? Ano yung mga action natin na dapat nating gawin? Ano yung mga actions na dapat nating iwasan? So example dito is like yun dito sa PowerPoint, keep off the grass or don't hinder the driveway. So, parang wag mong harangan yung daan, kasi maraming daan maraming sasakyan ang dumadaan dyan. So, yung sa rule na yun or yung sa command na yun, expected na lahat tayo or lahat ng mga nagmumotor, lahat tayo na sundin yun. Hindi lang basta nakamotor ka or nakasingle ka, sila lang yung tatabi. Tapos yung mga naka four wheels, hindi ganun. Kumbaga lahat tayo are expected to obey. And sa imperatives, ayan, we have two kinds of imperatives or there are two sorts of objectives, which is hypothetical and categorical. Hypothetical imperatives or restrictive orders depend on your applicable one. So, si hypothetical imperatives are commands that you should follow if you want to achieve a certain goal. Kumbaga, gagawin ko tong action na to kasi may goal akong gustong makuha. Additionally, it is one's desires or goals, and essentially, pag nagagawa ka ng hypothetical imperatives is nabubuo siya ng if-then statement. So, isa sa mga examples natin dito is, if you want to maintain good relationship with your friends, then you should not lie to them. So, sabi nga natin, we have two objectives of imperatives, which is hypothetical and categorical. So, hypothetical imperatives are restrictive orders dependent on your applicable one. So, si hypothetical imperative are commands that you should follow if you want to achieve a certain goal. Kumbaga, yung actions mo is dapat yung actions mo is, ang end niya is yung goal. Kung ano ba yung gusto mong marating dun sa actions na yun. Additionally, this is one's desires or goals yun ngayon. Kung may gusto ka, kumbaga kung yung actions mo, example na gusto kong pumasa ng final. So, ang magiging goals ko doon ay tama. Kung gusto kong pumasa ng final. So, ang gagawin ko is kailangan ko mag-aral ng mabuti. And then essentially, these hypothetical imperatives are composed of if-then statements. So, examples, if you want to maintain good relationship with your friends, then you should not lie to them. So in this case, the actions of not lying to your friend is the imperatives, but it's conditional on the desires to maintain good relationship. If you didn't care about maintaining those relationships, then these hypothetical imperatives wouldn't apply. So ang pangit naman na gusto mong ma-take na magkaroon ng good relationship with your friends, pero lagi kang naglalay to them. So, as parang hindi siya patas. So, parang dito parang give and take lang. Kung ano yung gusto mong makuha, yun din yung gusto mong i-treat mo sa iba.
So, dito naman tayo kay categorical imperative. So, ano nga ba yung categorical imperative? So, itong si categorical imperative, ito lang yung mga bagay na something you must always do no matter what the situation is, no matter what your desires are, and no matter what do you want to achieve. So basically, itong categorical imperative nito ay we should act in a way that everyone act in this, that we should act in a way that we would want everyone else
to act in the same situation. So in other words, si categorical imperative is treating others with respect and fairness. So ayun lang, yung pagiging fair lang natin sa mga taong makapaligid sa atin. So sinabi dito is commands or moral laws all persons must follow regardless of their desires of extenuating circumstances. It's supposed to provide a way for us to evaluate moral action and make moral judgments. So, yun lang din yung sinabi ko kanina, yun yung meaning ng categorical imperative. So, dito naman, it's a moral principle which denotes that you should act only in accordance with the maxim through which you can act at the same time will that it become universal law. So, yung meaning na to is, it's about moral principle. So, we all know that pinoproach siya ni philosopher Immanuel Kant. So, parang sinasabi lang dito na dapat tayong kumilos sa parang gusto natin kumilos yung lahat. So, also, it encourages us to consider yung mga consequences na ginagawa natin o yung mga nagawa natin. So, mas pinopoint out dito yung importance gaya ng paggalang natin, yung dignity na meron tayo as a person. So, example na lang nitong categorical imperative na to is, huwag mong gawin sa iba kung ayaw mong gawin sa'yo. So, ito naman yung some formulation ni Immanuel Kant. So, meron tayong tinatawag na universality principle. So, sabi dito, act only according to the maxim which you can act at the same time, will that it should become a universal law without contradiction. So, itong maxim na to is a rule of principle of action. While si universal law naman is something that you must always be done in a similar situation. So, example ng universality principle. So, ito yung kanina nabanggitin nila yung about sa wallet. Imagine, meron kang nakitang wallet dun sa isang street na yon, and meron naglalaman siya ng mga ID, mga identity na isang tao. So, applying the universality principle, you would ask yourself, ano din kaya yung gagawin ng ibang tao if napulit nila yung wallet na yun? So, dito na pumapasok if gagawin din kaya ng tao yung gagawin ko if isinuli ko yung wallet na yun. So, sabi dito, if everyone followed the principle of honesty, they would return the wallet to the rightful owner. So, ensuring the person's belongings are not lost or stolen. So, this action promotes trust, integrity, and fairness in society. So, however, if yung pagiging dishonesty naman ng tao, mas kinip nila yung wallet na yun na napulot lang nila sa daan, yun ang pagiging distrust dito sa society natin na to. So, people would constantly worry about their belongings being stolen and society would suffer from lack of trust. So, ayun, mawawala na ng tiwala syempre yung mga ibang tao na pag may nawawala ang ibang gamit sa kanila. So, by considering the universality principle, we can see that honesty is a moral value that benefits everyone when applied universality. So, nakakatulong ito lumikha na mas makatarungan at maayos na kung saan mapagkakatiwalaan natin yung mga tao sa paligid natin if they are all honest. So, on the other hand, if you're thinking being honest and fair, that's something that would work if everyone did it. So, it would create a trustworthy and reliable society. So, if yung lahat daw ng tao ay honest, mas magkakaroon ng tiwala yung ibang tao sa iba pang mga tao na nakapaligid sa kanila. So, the next formulation of Immanuel Kant is the formula of humanity. So, sabi dito, act so that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in that of the other, always as an end and never as a mere means. So, ano nga ba yung mere means na tinatawag natin? So, yung mere means ay, ibig sabihin nito is ginagamit mo for your own benefit. With no thought to the interest or benefit of the people of your using. So, example na lang nito is, may ballpen ka. So, di ba ginagamit natin siya pang sulat? So, pag naubos na yung tinta ng ballpen na yun is hindi mo na siya gagamitin. So parang wala na siyang silbi sa buhay mo. So yun lang yung tinatawag na mere means. So dito dapat tayo as a person, huwag natin siyang gawin sa tao mismo. Kasi ito, example na lang is imagine yourself, imagine you have a friend who is going through a tough time. So, ayun, naglalabas siya nag-open up siya sa'yo, and sa halip na, nasamantalahin mo yung pagkakataon na yun para i-interrupt siya, dapat i-comfort mo siya, tapos tulungan mo siya, pag-aanin mo yung loob niya, dapat ganon. So, ayun na yung sinasabi dito ni Kant na dapat you should treat them as a person with their own feelings and needs, rather than just a tool to serve your own purposes. So, the formula of humanity reminds us to consider the well-being and autonomy of others in our actions. So, dito, dapat respect natin yung mga feelings ng friend natin na nag-open up sa atin pag nasa situation like sila na down na sila, ganon, and hindi nila na masasandalan, ay may mga tao makikinig sa mga friends nila sa buhay. So, yun na yung ibig sabihin ng the formula of humanity. And that's all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and we are the Group 3.
I'm Christine Jane Esquera.
I'm Ashi Pauline N. Toralba.
I'm Kala Pangilinan.
And I'm Christina Yan J. Rivera. And thank you for listening to our presentation for today.
Thank you.